Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast. We are live here on YouTube. It is September the 12th. We are very excited to have you on board with us tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. With us tonight, as always, our producer, Jake Redmond, is here with us. Darren Redmond, my co-host as well. Brian Anderson, great friend of mine and follower of the channel, is here with us as well. And we have El Ridiculoso on with us as well from Atomic Legacy Wrestling. We're going to get to know him a little bit. Very excited to have you on. But before we dive into that, Darren, do you have a few words from our sponsor?
Attention! Do you have tax troubles? Because Nashville Tax Solutions has got you covered. Whether you're behind on returns, you're facing a lien, or just need expert advice, their team is ready to help. Hear what one of the clients said. He emailed me and told me this. Chris Bennett and his team saved me from a financial nightmare. His team is knowledgeable, clear, and compassionate. And boy, was I upset and worried. So don't let taxes stress you out. Reach out to Nashville Tax Solutions today. Call 615-502-2250 and visit NashvilleSolutions.com. Or if you don't have a specific question, you don't want to talk, you're afraid, or you just kind of don't want to have that interface with somebody, email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax resolution is achieved. You know what it's like, Mike? And El Ridiculoso and I were just talking about this. It's like
give all your money back.
That's right. It's like him dropping an elbow on your head. That's what tax problems feel like. But you know what? Chris Bennett and his team alleviate all that stuff. It's over.
Yes.
Back to you.
Good. Yes. So thank you for sharing that. So let's just get into the good stuff here. Thank you so much. Before we do that, once more time, Chris Bennett, Nashville Tax Solutions, thank you. From day one, we were just over 100 subscribers, and you believed in us, and thank you for that continued support. As we're nearing 925 subscribers just about 4 weeks later, that is awesome. So with that said, the guest of honor, El Ridiculoso, thank you so much for being here. Those watching along with us, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, where you came from, all that fun stuff.
Well, I am El Ridiculoso. I am from a place that most people wouldn't understand. I've been at this professional wrestling business for 15 years. I started in 2009 in Southern California area, the SoCal, as it is known in the area. Traveled to Michigan, did the whole Midwest thing, some Midwest swang, won big gold shiny belts absolutely everywhere across this nation, including right here in Florida, where I'm a former 3-time ALW next level champion. I've won that championship 3 different times.
And that was 3 times, correct?
Three
Yes.
of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
All big old shiny belts. I go from continuity to continuity in search of opportunity. And I got this. Everywhere I go, I got this. We got this because it's a team effort. We all do this together. I'm just a conduit in which we all live. And we got this. I win, you win, we win. We got this.
Yes, we absolutely got this. I love it. And also we have on with us Brian Anderson, good friend of mine. Just wanted to kind of get your thoughts as we dive into, I want to start here with Atomic Legacy Wrestling. But so myself and Brian, we both got the opportunity to go to where we wear the crown last month here in Cocoa, Florida, at the Space Coast Convention Center. And just wanted to hear your thoughts, Brian, on that experience, attending that event for the first time, and kind of from start to finish, what we were able to see while we were there.
Huge shout out to ALW for having us and hosting it. We get a negative connotation about Brevard because we don't have these events, but we do have these events, and ALW is just killing it. The high flying legend over here, El Ridiculoso, high energy, high flying, just strategic opportunities going this guy's way. I was super happy to be in it. And one of the things I liked so much about ALW, which I talked to you about, was the crowd play. And they were actually involved with the crowd, and they didn't take it for granted. You know what I mean? You paid good money to go to those seats, and you were part of that show. It's not like you were just there to see them. They made you entertained. They were signing autographs. They were in there with you. They had food. They had drink. It was just a really good time, and not just for you and me, but tons of families that were there as well.
Yeah, and how about that menu? Like, most of the time, shout out to the staff at the Space Coast Convention Center. Like, you know, nothing against the hot dogs and the, you know, the nachos and stale cheese and all that kind of stuff. But to be able to sit down, and I think one of the first words I was like, "It smells like ravioli up in here," and just a top-notch menu. It was awesome. I learned my lesson next time. Yeah, not to eat before I go next time. That's
I thought I saw somebody over there eating that great menu while El Ridiculoso was carrying the event all night long, and some people were not carrying their weight. I'll just put that out there right now.
Dairy swirl.
Yes.
Dairy swirl.
I'm leaving it alone.
So what I like to kind of share, and, you know, Darren, you can jump in here a little bit once after I kind of go through this, but so El Ridiculoso, one of the things, first and foremost, just to kind of get out there. So, of course, first time going, myself, you go at the time because of the names on the card, who's coming in. And what I found myself doing, in all full transparency, it was nice to see this one. It was nice to see that one. And I actually shared this on the show last week. But when I left that show, the car ride home, and then just ever since, I left wanting to see the ALW roster main talents. That's what I took away from the show. Now, Trevor Lee, great performance. Others, great performance. But it was the stars. I mean, you know, I mean, I can name a couple of the matches, but just to see like an Ariel, what he did up again with Trevor Lee, and just all throughout the card, top to bottom, that's what I went home with. So, but Darren, on your end, before we kind of dive into that event specifically, have you been able to attend anything on the indie wrestling side from in your years, or if you just attended it from like the big money market shows, that sort of thing?
So the answer to that is recently no, because I lived in California for a while. My daughter lived in SoCal, and then moving here, and I'm waiting to get back into sort of the independent wrestling. When I was living in Brooklyn, it was wonderful. They'd come to the church parishes, you know, and they would come to the Legion halls, and it was some of the best wrestling in the world. And you'd always see the person, and I'm going to use a name that, you know, and I'm not saying that this was the person, but I'm pretty sure it was actually. You know, a person like Stan the Man Stasiak on his way out, you know, better years behind him. Chief Jay Strongbow on the way out. You get some people on the way up, and I love it. Much like the movie The Wrestler, you know, it was great. You sit, you talk to these people, and I just loved it. You know, when we're going to talk more, you know, Lucha Libre, you know, I would watch 3 to 4 times a week, and I used to love, you know me, I love process, putting the ring together. You know, how big, you know, the adjustment of the ropes, everything, because it's ballet. You know, Ridiculoso, seriously, man, it is ballet, and you got to do it every night. You got to bring it. And those people in the audience, they don't care that you're hurting, and it's not they don't care about you, but they've been waiting all day. You know, they're in school, the parents are divorced, they're trying to rub a couple of nickels together to go to see you. You know, and you got to give them what you got. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I did this last week as well, but shout out to not just Alex Red, but the whole staff from top to bottom to putting this show together. But let's kind of dive into El Ridiculoso, into We Wear the Crown, right? So one of the things we mentioned last week was the 10-bell salute at the beginning of the show, as this entire show was paying tribute for a fallen star that had tragically lost his life at a very young age. And I know how emotional that experience had to be for the entire locker room. But then to be able to go out there and perform the way you guys did, knowing that it was not just the weight of like, this is the highest attended show we've had. Shout out all 3 rooms, which is awesome. But also, you know, the family was in attendance. as well, RPG. So just your experience kind of going into that day, maybe like when you woke up that morning, realizing like the significance of this event, knowing that you're going to have to get through that and then go out there and perform.
Hit me with the serious questions.
We'll get that one out of the way, and then yeah.
RPJ was a very, very good man, very good young man. So given the nature of myself, a lot of time, because it's not the first time 10 bell salute has happened. 15 years of wrestling, there's a lot of 10 bell salutes I've been a part of. Usually, given my nature, I'm usually one of the first out the curtain after those moments, because I feel something I'm very good at is changing the tone and bringing the atmosphere back up from those serious moments. And it's something I pride myself on, something I very much enjoy, and is why I like pro wrestling so much. We all got problems, and it's just a way to escape them. In 15 years, the one for RPJ was the only time I've been seriously rocked. That was a hard one, not just because of his age, not just because we were supposed to be in a team. We were going to do a tag team thing together, him and I. We were going to do a whole thing. He's somebody who came to me for advice more often than not. He came to me for advice a lot because he kind of knew how long I've been doing this. And I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm not the biggest name in the world. And I've been trained by some of the biggest names, and I've been in the ring with some of the biggest names. I've been trained and traveled the country and all that good stuff. And RBJ was a very good guy in that he asked questions of everybody, and he did what you're supposed to do. You learn from everybody, even as what not to do. You learn something from everybody. That one was a hard one, but he would have been like, "Hey man, let's wrestle." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the best thing we could do to honor him is to go we could, because that's what he would have wanted. That's what his family would have wanted. That's what his family wanted. That's Off of the Wild Samoans was also recently passed away, and he's a national legend. But RPJ was our kid, and that one was hard. However, it was opportunity, and it was just sad that he couldn't have been there to be on that show. He would have strived and thrived. He's poised for a lot of good things and a lot of good.
Yep.
Bad scenario, but
Yep. And there's an excited dog somewhere barking. But hopefully he's a subscriber to the channel. But so before I do want to go into the We Wear a Crown event here shortly in just a few minutes, but looking forward, September 26th, Next Level 2 here. Big match for you, of course. Simon Gotch, former WWE star.
That freaking guy, man.
Yeah, that guy. We know that it'll be over quick. You'll get the win nice and quick. But
lumberjack match. We have the ring surrounded. So we were supposed to have this match last month, and I now realize that the wool pulled over my eyes, that it wasn't his grandma that called and canceled the show. It was Jerry Swirls in drag pretending to be an old lady, pretending to call and be his grandma. So I feel like I do owe Simon Gotch an apology in that regard, because, I mean, who would have thought that the inner Betty White would be the reason that match didn't happen? But this is the return match. So him and I wrestled a couple months ago, and it ended in a no contest because that freaking guy, man, so there's a backstory to this, all right? Like I won the Next Level Championship. He didn't like the fact that the ridiculous guy was having a happy moment, and he came out and he jumped me for no freaking reason. Like I haven't even farted in the wind in his direction, and I had no idea why this guy came at me like that. I know his good buddy Ryan Katz. We're friends. I don't understand why this guy, wanted to come at me like that, and he jumped me. Still to this day has not given me a reason why. He just didn't like my face. You know what? I like his mustache.
I'm scared of you.
Exactly. Yeah, The fear is real, you know. You know what? He had too much mustache grease. It messes with his head, and he came up and he jumped me from behind. So we had a fight, and then the fight ended in a no contest because we just wanted to fight. You know, it was a wrestling match, and in wrestling match you're supposed to wrestle, and in fights you're supposed to fight. So this lumberjack match, so this will be a fight. We're gonna have the ring surrounded by all the other guys on the show that couldn't get booked. No, I'm just kidding. No. They're all the highly talented people. They're gonna be surrounding the ring, making sure that Simon Gotch can't run away, and that I stay in the ring and don't jump off of high objects and get hurt. So we're gonna be there. We're gonna fight each other, and win, lose or draw. I'm just gonna prove my point to Simon Gotch that one, you don't have to be so freaking serious all the time, man, and still have fun. You can be successful and still be ridiculous. And two, he's going to know he was in a fight with El Ridiculoso. Win, lose, or draw, he's going to know he was in a fight. And I got this.
You do got this, and it's a tremendous opportunity for you. An opportunity, yes, absolutely. And if you make quick enough work of him, there is also going to be a battle royal as well. So we'll see if you can, show up to that one as well. We'll see. Won't spoil anything. We'll find out how that's going.
It's an RPG Memorial Battle Royal, and if I got a hobble on one leg out there with an arm dislocated, an eyeball hanging out, I don't care. I will also be in that Battle Royal.
Yes. And let's be honest, too. I mean, it's a lumberjack match, but, I feel like when it does spill the outside, hopefully the talent does their job and takes it back into the ring, if you know what I'm talking about. But thanks all of you guys. We have a good amount of people watching along with us. There's this Eileen, thank you so much for being here. There's this Jerry Swirls here in the chat, seeing some stuff. Jerry Swirls.
You just can't let me have a moment. He just has to be involved in everything. Can't just let a guy have a moment. Has to be in there trying to yap off at his gums like somebody cares. That's the thing. You just ignore him.
He's chasing your autograph, El Ridiculoso. He's chasing for an autograph.
If he wants to keep playing with me, I got action figures he can buy. All right, like he wants to keep playing with me. Like, yeah, go ahead, bro. Like, this isn't his time.
Plug those right here. El Ridiculoso action figures. I love it.
Yes. Now, so we've covered. We know the outcome here on September 26th. We know who's going to win that one. So, backtracking slightly to next to the We Wear the Crown event. So there was a tag team match. And in this tag team match, everything was going great. And then something happened at the end. I'm still trying to put my finger on what happened there. Do you have the exact, I got to go straight to the source, exactly what happened for those? I was there, still a little fuzzy. Those that are watching along that may not quite understand or know what happened, can you share on that? Because everything was going great. Saw a tag team title championship win coming, and then something happened.
Yeah, so Jerry and I, for about a little over 2 years now, right? Like he was my first match in Atomic when I traveled down these here parts after, dominating the country, winning championships from the West Coast to the Midwest to everywhere in between, and finally coming down to Florida. And my first opportunity with ALW, the Atomic Emperor himself, Alex Red, decided he wanted to put me and Jerry Swirls in a match together. At the time, Jerry Swirls was just a little dog and pony show, had a bunch of little guys around him, doing nothing, going nowhere fast. All right. So Jerry Swirls was like, all right, El Ridiculoso, Jerry Swirls, we meshed well. We had a fun little combative match. It was fun. He gave me a concussion, but it was fun, and we had a good little back and forth at a pleasant little building, little tiny little hole in the wall building. It was fun. We had a good time, and then we were talking backstage, and he was like, man, my dog and pony show isn't getting me nowhere fast. And I see that you have all this opportunity and you got all these eyes on you and you're really fun and you're really entertaining. And I want some of that for me. So let me attach myself to your coattails and let me be your tag team partner. And I'm a tag team specialist. All right. I've won tag team championships across the nation with some of the greatest and best tag team partners a guy could ask for. The Mysterious Movado, Biggie Biggs, Sexy Chino, Jamie Cox, Sweet Willie Watts. I've won championships all across the nation, and I said, you know what? Here's a young kid. And he's a young kid. Yeah, I got 10 years on him. This mask I'm wearing is older than Jerry Swirl's career. So I was like, okay, here's a guy I can help. I can teach him. Somebody taught me. I can teach somebody else. I can keep it going. Pay it forward. That's what you're supposed to do in pro wrestling. So I was like, okay, Jerry Swirls, here's my. You want to be my little birdie? That's cool. I got this little wing right here. You can be right under here. You can be this little birdie underneath my wing. Come on with me. We'll go to the top together. We got this. And honestly, I wanted to get booked. I just came to ALW. I love it here. And I was like, how can I keep myself going? It seems they keep giving Jerry Swirls a job. So if I latch on to Jerry and let Jerry latch on to me, it's mutually beneficial. We can be some dudes together, right? So thus, the dynamic ass dudes were born. Him, myself, and we got this. We beat Shark Boy and the Cheese, and then we beat the Crazy Bastards. We beat La Sangre. We had a nice little run. We even beat GCW and JCW legends Madman Pondo and then Duke. And we won the tag team championships, and then Jerry got hurt. That not my fault, not his fault. I mean, kind of his fault because he got hurt. But he got hurt, and I was a tag team champion, and ALW was like, hey man, what do you think we should do? We're gonna give Jerry Sorrells this promotion. He became the general manager of the freaking show, so he was running the show. So he had a lot of stroke. He had a lot of say as to what happened next, right? And I don't get why he's mad at me, but he could have said no at any time, and he didn't. And they said, you know what, man? What do you want to do, El Ridiculoso? Do you want to defend the titles, or do you want to give them up? And I said, man, we work really hard, and I'm addicted to big gold shiny belts, and I'm not about to give up a big gold shiny belt. So, hey, man, I know this guy. He's in a famous rock band. It's called Gwar. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. He's a cool dude. So we contact Techno Destructo, and we say, hey, man, I know you from Southern California. You know me from Southern California. We know Brian Kendrick together. We wrestled for Sin Bodhi together. Hey, man, my tag team partner got hurt. Do you want to be my tag team partner? And he said, yeah. And Jerry Swirls was the general freaking manager. He could have said, I don't want that to happen. And he didn't. He said nothing. He kept his little, closed mouths don't get fed. How am I supposed to know if you don't have a problem? How am I supposed to know? He didn't say he had a problem. So I was like, okay. So Techno Destructo became my tag team partner. And Techno Destructo and I defended the tag team titles against the legend of the Bushwhackers, and the Cheese again. And I got a grown man's hairy butt rubbed in my face. And Techno Destructo then turned on me. And Techno Destructo beat me up and stole both the tag team titles. All right? So and then Jerry Swirls again, the general freaking manager at the time, could have done anything about that. Did nothing about that. Techno Destructo is unable to defend the tag team titles. He gives them back to Alex Red. Alex Red says, hey, man, these are actually yours. What do you think we should do? And I'm all about the people. El Ridiculoso is a conduit for which the people can interact, So I said, hey, man, how about Jerry's hurt? And Jerry doesn't seem to care about me anymore. He like pretending that we don't exist anymore. So why don't we ask the people what we should do with the tag team titles? So I came up with this brilliant idea where I said, hey, man, let's get all the people and have them do open interviews. Like it's a Van Wilder moment, Let's have everybody submit a video and say, do you want to be El Ridiculoso's partner? And this guy named El Queso said, yeah, and he wins. El Queso becomes my tag team partner. How was I to know El Queso was the freaking Cheese? How am I supposed to know that? He wore a mask. I didn't know it was the Cheese. It was the Cheese. Who'd have thunk it? So the Cheese and I became the tag team champions with the Cheese literally not having to ever really do anything other than a promo. So the Cheese and I are tag team champions. Again, Jerry Swirls, I don't know if I said this. He was the general freaking manager at the time. He could have said no. He didn't. And you know what he did? He booked us in matches. So again, he could have done something then, did nothing then, And then the Headbangers beat up the Cheese, and the Headbangers become the tag team champions. And now I'm off on my own again. I'm an island by myself because Jerry Swirls still has a stack of diamonds neck, still nursing an injury, doesn't really want to wrestle. Okay, so Jerry Swirls, you're still the general manager. That's cool. What I do, I earn my way, big, like the Undertaker, and I earn my way to the next level championship, and I win it 3 freaking times off of Ripper's Abisco. I become the next level champion, the champion of the next level, which you could argue is more important than the world title. All right, because think about it. If the world title's on one level, I'd be the champion of the one above that. Right, there's the next level. So you could argue, Ariel Dominguez, high quality guy. Him and I are in a match. And Jerry freaking Swirls comes out in a dress. This is the first time I've learned about the inner Betty White. So the inner Betty White apparently is a thing. If Jerry Swirls has like some anger issues, some deep-rooted emotional, he wasn't hugged enough, I don't know what exactly happened, or maybe he was hugged too much by an old lady. I don't know what happened. But Jerry Swirls seems to be in love with old women. That's cool. Mothballs are delicious. And if you do a good job, maybe they'll bake you cookies when you're done. So good job for Jerry. He likes to dress in drag. I had no judgments, whatever you do, you bro. You just shave your legs, maybe. Yeah. So Jerry Swirls comes out, cost me the next level championship, and I'm ready to whoop his butt. I say, Jerry, let's fight. You want to fight me? You want to keep playing games? Let's do this, Jerry. Let's fight. Jerry Swirls pretending he doesn't remember any of this. Jerry Swirls probably in the comments right now, flapping his gums. But I'm telling the truth. He was telling you stories. So Jerry Swirls flapping his gums says, hey man, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Me, I'm a forgiving guy. Now I'm not stupid, but I am forgiving. Yeah. So I was like, okay, Jerry, let's call bygones be bygones. You want to use my love of big gold shiny belts? The Baldies make an open challenge. I want my tag team title back. I love big gold shiny belts. I go from continuity to continuity for opportunity and big gold shiny belts, right? Like, dude. So I say, okay, Jerry, I agree. Let's team up. Let's go for these tag team titles again. All right. Like you technically you could stay. You never lost them. That's fine. That's okay. You did lose it because your neck got hurty. And you were the general freaking manager and you did nothing about it. But that's okay. And so Jerry, and then somewhere during the Baldies match, the bald line match, I find his little hidden drag attire that he put underneath the ring. Why did he put it underneath the ring? I don't know. But I also learned that he's the one who told Simon Gotch couldn't make it. So he lied to Autistic Sister Schuyler, who handles all of our travel productions, and he lied to Alex Red, Autistic Sister Schuyler, and said that he was an old lady, and Autistic Sister Schuyler believed it and canceled Simon Gotch's booking, and Simon was pissed. I was pissed, and so I wanted to fight. He tricked me, and now we're gonna fight again. I don't know when, I don't know where, but eventually Jerry Swirls and I will cross paths again, and he will be the one that leaves with a concussion, and I will leave with all the opportunity.
And just to sum up, that was 3-time champion. 3 times. Yes. Made the most of his opportunities. Yes. So a lot to
and he was the general manager.
Yes, he was the general. Yes, he was. Before we go to the next thing, just want to shout out a few others. Mike Clark, thank you for joining us here in the chat as well. Great to see you in there. And there's a few others too. Scroll up that have joined us. We appreciate you. So next question I wanted to ask. So outside of the actual, Darren, you made a mention of this before, because it's not just, especially on the indie level, it's not just showing up, having your match and leaving, moving to the next city. It is a team production from start to finish, whether it be setting up, tearing down the ring. One takeaway at the We Wear the Crown show, at that intermission, it wasn't just people for themselves, get themselves some food and drinks. No, the talent was out at the different tables. They were signing autographs, taking photos. Almost the entire locker room cleared out. It was just a great experience from start to finish. And it was a longer night than we had anticipated it being. There was just so much packed in there. But I wanted to ask you, Brian, first, and then Darren, in terms of, because I've been to many events in my lifetime, but was that kind of that experience new to you, like, is to be that close to the action and then to see, basically from left to right around the building, to see, purple hats from Jake Hager and just all the different talent surrounding the ring? Was that something that was kind of new to you to see? Because I thought that was an awesome experience. I didn't personally go to any of the tables. I was just kind of taking it in. But what are your kind of thoughts on that?
So as an old man, it probably wasn't as cool for me. It was, but the coolest thing was seeing the look on the kids' faces. Like the hardcore champion was going through and having a match with 2 other gentlemen, and I don't know their name because they're nowhere near as cool as you, El Ridiculoso. Which maybe you should become the hardcore champ, Big Shiny Gold. But to see the look on the kids' faces, the one guy had got the autograph and was showing it to his dad, and just to see the action that close, because to me it means more to them. You have to be crazy to be a wrestler. I did some backyard wrestling, nothing like El Ridiculoso, and I'm not that guy. But you have to be a little crazy to want to do that. And when you see how excited the fans are, that makes you want to do it more. So I think they feed off of that and seeing that energy and seeing that show and being that close. You know, when we go to these WWE shows, it's us sitting in a seat, paying, standing up when they tell us to. You were involved with the whole process. So I really like that. And it wasn't that there wasn't stories. There was stories. So you hear that all the time. Like WWE has storylines, AEW has some kind of storylines. They kind of get all over the place. But these guys did too. So it set me up to want to come back to the next show to see El Ridiculoso kick Jerry Swirls. But because I didn't know what was going on there, and I'm just at a loss. And then to hear that he's like an 80s latchkey kid and only watched the Golden Girls or something, and he's jealous of the ridiculous talent on this guy seeking opportunities just blew my mind. So I wanted to see that. I appreciate the big names coming to this show because it highlights these guys.
Yeah, and does. And also shout out Joe Alessandro. Thank you for joining us in the chat as well. You were there with grandchildren as well, just taking it all in. It certainly was not your first show. Thank you for inviting me time and time again. Finally was able to make it out, and it was just awesome to see. So, and some of the grandsons got a little close to the action too, especially, we went from that initial 10-bell salute right into a hardcore match with action spelled out literally everywhere, and stuff. So Darren, a question for you at this point. So when you go to how do I word this? One of the things before you go to anything, whether it's a wrestling show, you go to a ball game, it's all about the pregame, right? And then, and that sort of thing. If you were to attend a big ticket wrestling show yourself, is there something you like certain people you would kind of target to invite to bring with you, certain things you would kind of do when you're there? Like, is merchandise important to you, getting an autograph, just kind of taking it all in? Because some people like to just take it all in and not really approach anyone. Others like to get right up in there. Like you right now, sitting here 2024, if you were to attend a show, do you see yourself kind of just getting right up in there, being loud, being proud at the event, or just kind of like observing to something like this?
Well, it's actually a very complex question because it depends on where I am in terms of the fandom for the particular sport. So, for example, I was the director of hockey operations for the last 3 years of the Fresno Monsters previous to me coming here. So this was a very spot-on question I would have. And we put out food trucks prior to mascot. In fact, our producer, Jake Redmond, was a mascot one season. And make sure they out and about, target those kids. We got kids, get that mascot out there. Take those pictures. Autograph sessions afterwards. All of that is very, very important to bring that long-term customer, that fan, to come in. Also, Brian kind of alluded to this earlier, and I thought I loved it. The younger generation, like right now, do they follow them on social media? You have to do your homework. If you're going to fill that place up, you just don't hope that it happens. For example, El Ridiculoso can be fighting Jerry Swirls. And by the way, is there any truth to the rumor? You need to answer this question. Do you actually have to sign his homework when it's done with it for school the next day? He's so young. I want you to answer that in a minute. I want to know, because someone probably has to sign to make sure he did it. And what kind of lunchbox does he use? That's another big question I have. Any truth to the rumor that he has your lunchbox? Because that would be nice if he does. But you have to make it an event. And one of the greatest things, and I've seen it, at the level that, our producer played at, to the junior monsters, those fans, both my age, older than me, and younger than me, they waited around to get that autograph, to get that photo. That stuff's so important. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, it does. And so because it is a unique experience, right? Like if you're going, like I've had the pleasure of going to several 8 or 9 different WrestleManias, make a whole weekend out of it, from Hall of Fame to Raw to SmackDown to the event itself, NXT, all that good stuff. But when you go to a local show, it's a little bit different. And to see how hard, not like with Alex Red, like I feel like if he has a millisecond of free time, he's putting the word out there, whether he's dropping a flyer here, he's going to the bathroom, he's putting the flyer in the urinal. If he goes to Wawa, he's putting it on the counter. And what I love to see is talent such as yourself, El Ridiculoso, and others promoting themselves as hard as they are, because these shows, as often as they happen, it's only once a month here in Cocoa, Florida. So oftentimes indie talent have to find work elsewhere, and to try to balance family and jobs and make sure if I'm going to travel to North Carolina for a show, I can make that work while I'm still making a living and that sort of thing. So I always find that fascinating. So I kind of wanted to kind of dive there. We've got about 20 minutes left here on the podcast, so we've got a few things I wanted to dive into. But El Ridiculoso, will you share briefly about the the show is over, you've got another month to your next local show, that sort of thing, the process of trying to get yourself booked in the meantime while still trying to balance everything else that you do, because I find that to be fascinating, just trying to stay busy, provide, but also be with family and close friends and stuff as well.
So I'm a father. I have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter. Since she's been born, I have scaled back the amount of wrestling that I do. I've chosen to do arguably cooler things. I've been going for quality over quantity. When I first started, I was 22 years old. I was in Southern California. Young. I wrestled as much as humanly possible. I was at training 3 to 4 days a week. I was working shows every weekend. I was very fortunate at where I started at. You mentioned AEW. I started at the school that Young Bucks used to teach at. I started at the school that TJ Perkins was the teacher at. Adam Pierce was our teacher at one point. I started with these guys called the Ballard Brothers. I trained with Brian Kendrick. I got to do a lot of very cool things. And I was wrestling. There was a Lucha company called Lucha Pro. They still run to this day. They ran every Sunday or every other Sunday. And so I wrestled there 2 times. That was a guarantee every 2 times. There was a company that was ran by the late, great John Ian, who I would not have a career today if it wasn't for him. The school I originally started with shut down, and he took me into his school, graciously free of charge, and let me continue my training there 3 days a week. He ran every other Friday as well. So I had 8 bookings a month when I first started automatic. It was great. I got to start at the ground level of championship wrestling from Hollywood. I would set up their rings, and I was a referee, and I got to work shows and matches and got to ref matches with the likes of Colt Cabana, Scorpio Sky. He was one of our regular trainers. Willie Mack was the first drop kick I ever took in professional wrestling. Human Tornado, I am gracious enough to call him a friend. I got to start in a very cool area with some very cool people. I got to do a lot of very cool things at a very young start of my wrestling career. That was all within the first 3-4 years of me wrestling. 6 years in is when I moved to Detroit. I got, again, ground level, because when you move territories like that, you just revamp, you restart. I started at training at the House of Truth under Truth Martini. I was there. I just never left that school. I just stayed there and just kept training until I became an assistant trainer for him. I helped train kids. I helped get people started on their pro wrestling journeys. I got to wrestle in Cobo Hall. I won the lightweight championship in Cobo freaking Hall. I got to do, their television shows up there that I got to wrestle for. I got to meet, again, great people. Johnny Bravo. I am gracious enough to call him a friend and a coach. I was never his student, but I learned a tremendous amount from him. He ran a company. I was his champion for almost 2 years. He ran a company in Saginaw, Michigan, UCW. I was their champion for almost 2 straight years. Again, very forever grateful for the people that I've met and got to do along the way. Setting up rings, tearing down rings. I was at the show you guys went to. I was one of the first people out the building. I was one of the last people to leave.
Yep.
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. All those shows. If there's no ring, there's no show. So everybody needs to be there helping out with the ring. Like I said, now that I've had my child, there was a lot of health complications that went into my with my wife. There was a lot of things that I regret how I acted, because I did the wrong priorities. I went and worked a show and my wife was in ICU, and that probably wasn't the right thing to do. looking back at it now. Wrestling wise, we're crazy, and wrestlers will tell you, yeah, it's the right thing to do. Looking back on it, I deeply regret it. I should have been there at the ICU. Like, it's where my wife was at with my newborn child. That's where I should have been. But I went and wrestled instead. So I regret how I prioritize things. I regret how I didn't take advantage of certain opportunities at the same time. Because when I was in California, I had a lot of opportunities that I was just too blinded by partying to adhere to. Because I mean, those guys went and started AEW. You know, like I had opportunities. I chose the wrong path, in my opinion. But learning experiences, peaks and valleys is how we get to where we're at, right? Now that I'm in Florida, since coming here, I did what you're supposed to do. You know, I sent out the flyers, I sent out the resume, I went to shows, I set up the shows. Alex Red was the first one to give me an actual opportunity. He was the first one to actually give me a shot. Because I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and people in this business will judge you on that, and that's cool. That's, you know, it's a show me business. I get it, you know. Especially if you don't take the time to do a Google search, or, you know, actually watch the footage that I send you, or, you know, read the resume that I give you, or do any type of fact checking. You're gonna say whatever, you know. But Alex Red did those things. Plus, he had seen me on episodes of Impact Wrestling, because I was gracious enough to help out, get the opportunity to help out there. Because again, Johnny Bravo is an amazing human being. He won't let you tell you that, but, you know, he gave me an opportunity. So that's where Alex Red first saw me, and he gave me a shot. And I honestly loved the company so much. It's what I love about pro wrestling. You talk about the intimate settings and getting to those moments with the fans and taking those pictures and signing those autographs. That's what I love about pro wrestling. That's why I am the way I am, because you never know who you inspire. There's kids in Detroit that were actual children. They were 10, 12 years old, came to watch me wrestle. Now they're wrestling shows. So, you know, now one of them's been on CNN multiple times doing interviews and stuff. Shout out to Summer. It's like, you know, these people, you get to inspire them in small little ways, and that's how we pay things forward in this business. So now that I'm at where I'm at, and I have the child that I have, and I see how the Florida landscape is, I will 100% of the time take quality over quantity. Like, yeah, I could do what, if I was 5-10 years younger, I probably would be, you know, driving around every weekend, going to Georgia, going to up and down Florida. And then people will give me shit for not doing that, and that's cool. I would rather do a high quality show that will be seen by the most amount of people at this point in my life, and teach it, and pass off knowledge that someone passed off to me. I would 100% of the time rather do that than spend the weekend driving around and being away from my child. So if when she's a little bit older, and God willing, I'm still functional, then yeah, I'll go back to doing those things. But for now, I would rather, you know, take 3 days and go work the TNA tapings, and then go work for Alex Red on the biggest show in Florida, as opposed to driving around to, you know, whatever gym and those 30 fans. There's nothing wrong with those 30 fans, and there's nothing wrong with the people that do that. That's a great way of wrestling. That's a great way of getting experience. That's a great way of doing it. I'm just too old for that now. If there's not, like, I work 3 jobs. Like, I have 3 people. I have my wife, myself, and my daughter I need to survive for. I got rent that needs to get paid. I got, like, and if there's not an income coming in that's going to match the amount of time I'm taking away, I can't feasibly justify not being home with my child then. That's where I need to be. So that, and some people, again, will guilt you for that. But like I said, I feel like I took the wrong path years ago when my wife was in the hospital. So now I very much value and very forever grateful for the opportunity that's been given. But Florida, to be honest with you, I haven't been given that many opportunities. You know, and it is what it is. I'm not going to, you know, gripe about it, but, you know, I'm also not out there driving around, showing up to your show to set up your ring. Not that I feel like I shouldn't, because I feel like I should. I just don't have that kind of time. If you got that kind of time, you can do that, go for it. Like that's awesome. But I just don't have that kind of time to invest. Like without having and I know that if I go and do that, y'all love me after 15 minutes of talking to me, right? Like, I know if I go and do these shows, y'all love me after 15 minutes of talking to me. You'll love working in the ring with me because I'm the safest pair of hands you're ever going to be in the ring with, and you're going to learn a lot about working with the crowd. And I'm going to teach your locker room, and I'm going to be an awesome atmosphere, and I'm going to set good examples, and I'm going to be, doing all the right things and getting your eyes on your product and bringing you views. And that's cool if you don't trust me first before me going to your ring and setting it up for you. I just don't have that kind of time anymore.
Yeah, and and just a shout out to, you mentioned, safest pair of hands. One talent that very similar in the more mainstream, The Miz, is somebody who he gets it right. He very limited by the injuries. Same people.
Yeah, we were trained by the Ballard. Yep. He was trained by the Ballard brothers. The entire shtick of him and Damian Sandow. That's the entire Ballard brothers. They're twins, and they would do that. That was their whole shtick.
That was the whole.
Like they all trained together in UPW in California in the early 2000s, and that entire gimmick was the Ballard brothers gimmick.
That's so true. And so it looks like we got 5 minutes left. So my thought here, if we can pull this off here in this 5 minutes rapid fire, Brian and Darren, one final question for El Ridiculoso. We've got about 2 minutes per question or per answer, if you could. So I'll start with you, Darren. Just a final question for him as we close this thing out.
So I spent quite a bit of time with the former owner of Ring of Honor Wrestling. We both work for the same company. And he talked about a lot of the stuff that you're talking about right now. Also, and by the way, if I can just say this, don't look back, man, look forward. We've all had that moment in life, Maybe the particulars are different, but you move forward, my friend, and you're doing some good things. And one good thing about wrestling is you can never really be too old for it, right? I mean, you go back when the time is right and the angle is right. Real quick, what is, especially at the level that we're talking about tonight, contract work to 1099 work to, how does it work?
You're an independent contractor, so save your receipts. Gotcha. Gas mileage, gear makers, merch makers, save your receipts. You file them independently at the end of the year. If it's worth it, like if you're doing $20 shows for hot dogs and handshakes, which I've done, been there, got paid with a torta and a taco, you don't really need to file those ones. But I mean, if you're putting on the miles, if you're traveling from Michigan to Illinois to Virginia to Florida, you're putting in the miles. Save your receipts, bro. Get your money back.
Listen, as somebody played Division III football and then played some club football along the way, you play for hot dogs, a beer, and handshake. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
And Brian, final question from your end.
So real quick, obviously you have the mask, but I want to think that we got a little bit behind that mask. And there's a ton more that we can ask you. I just want to know the heritage behind the mask. But the biggest question is, as you're coming into the tutelage and the mentoring, do you have plans on a wrestling school as you get into that? And then what would your last dream match be if you could pick anybody?
So first I was a referee originally because I didn't think I had the body to be a wrestler. They wanted a referee that could get beat up. So I started doing the full-on training. I got really good at it, and they decided I need to wear a mask and work shows. I designed the mask. I drew this all, and then my gear maker added the fuzzy ears in this part. So that's where that came from. Second, I would love to start my own or be a part or a coach again at a school. When I was at the House of Truth, like I said, I had worked my way up there for so long that I became an assistant trainer. I helped train a lot of kids that have now actually started their own schools. So I would love to get back to doing that. I feel like I do have a lot to offer in the wrestling of it all. I know it's a funny gimmick, but I can actually wrestle if there's ever a chance to do it. But yeah, I would love to get back to doing that. I would love to do what Alex Red does. I would love to have my own company. I would really love to have my own school though. That or be a trainer at a school again. That would be how I feel like I'd be the most useful. I feel like character development is something I'm very good at.
Awesome. And so we've got just under a minute left, so we'll close it out here. Just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we can have you again on before that, sometime maybe in October, November, just kind of take things from there. But just want to say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, because it is about what that we go home with, not how many people are in the crowd, not the size of the arena. I left that night. I'm just one person, of course, but I left that night fan for life of the in-ring work, the character, and the person itself. It was just an awesome experience. And I know I'm only one, but I was very encouraged by that. So please keep doing what you're doing. Darren, Jake, Brian, thank you for being on here. And until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark.
We got this. Ah!